Hello, folks. Today I want to talk about NFTs. Test. Getting the levels nice. All right, folks, NFTs. What a fascinating subject. I don't now right out of the gate, I don't know a ton about them, but I know a bit. And I've got a friend of mine who has done really well with them. That's all I'm going to say. It's not my story to tell. It's his story to tell. I'll see if I can link to a couple episodes of his podcast where he talks about his success with NFTs in his own words. But basically, as I understand it, NFTs it refers to non-fungible token. That's what it means. And it's on the blockchain. Now, traditional money is usually been connected to the Federal Reserve. And their ledger, as it is, the information about where the money exists and who it's owed to and all of that sort of thing, is private. It's with a private company called the Federal Reserve. That's traditionally been money for my whole life anyways. And now we've got this thing with cryptocurrency where it exists on a blockchain that's shared on servers all over the world. So you can't really mess with it. And that's by design. It has all kinds of advantages. In so many situations, it cuts out the middleman. We can direct trade with one another, all of that stuff. Now, there's a particular crypto coin that was created, as I understand it, called Ethereum. And it came with the unique ability to sort of alter the stuff on the blockchain. And that's a really terrible explanation, I know. But basically, you can put things on there like art or music. It doesn't necessarily have to just be the crypto token, right? And then that can be traded. So NFTs are traded on different NFT marketplaces and things like that. Now, why do they have value? A big part of that, maybe the biggest part of that, is the community building aspect. So a person creates an NFT and it's connected to their brand or maybe just their aspirations. I'm going to make an NFT. I've been working on it and I don't have a whole lot to say about it yet because I need to get it created and minted and on the blockchain and all of that. And then I'm going to announce it and release it. And it's connected to my goals. There's animated shows that I'd like to create. There's films I'd like to create. I've made a number of films with volunteer actors and things like that. And I would love to create a site where I put short films on completely for free for anyone to access. But, you know, it's going to take money to make those films, maybe, hopefully not a lot. And what would be fun to do is collaborate with anybody that wants to. So if somebody wants to volunteer and be a writer, great. Write the script, we put them in the credits. Somebody wants to volunteer and be an actor, great. I will work with them. We'll put them in the credits, all of that stuff. Small productions for sure, but hopefully some compelling and fun films that then are free to anyone to access and use for any kind of purpose. I'd like some of these films to be sort of abstract or whatever. And in the show notes for this, I will actually link to, it's on my YouTube channel. I'll link to a 1-minute silent short film that I made. And that was made entirely with volunteers. It's 1 minute and it's silent because it's from the perspective of an individual who has lost his hearing. And so through that silent film tool, I was trying to put the viewer roughly in the lead character's position as a deaf person and some of the frustration that that person might face. And it was just so fucking fun to work on that film. The guys I got to come out and volunteer their time, we had a handful of people come and volunteer their time as extras, which was great. And we tried to structure the day in such a way so that we filmed all the shots with the extras, like the coverage and things like that first, so that we could wrap all the extras and they're done early. We invited them to stay kind of behind a certain line so they weren't interfering with our camera moves and things like that and watch the process. It's just, you know, just don't be jerks. Don't talk too loud when we're filming, like the basic stuff, or else we'll have to ask you to leave. And everybody was fine. And some of them stayed for a bit and watched and some of them left. But amazing that these gracious people came and volunteered their time. And on a film set, because I've been on a number of film sets, there has to be a structure, you know, I mean, like a director, assistant director, background people, actors, stand-ins, many different people who have to kind of exist in a professional hierarchy so that the set functions, especially as productions get bigger and bigger. But I am so, it's so important to me to treat people well, and it's just people. And you can still professionally, you can still professionally understand that structure, but treat people well at the same time. So that's what we tried to do by filming the coverage and things like that. So we filmed our stuff completely out of order. And then we filmed our close-ups and I got to work with the actors, but it was fun. It's fulfilling. I want to do more of that. And I think by putting the content out for free, because that film, as an example, could be used as an analogy for all kinds of things. The idea is it just has a positive, hopefully very human message in there that's felt by the audience. You know, and then you can attach a lot of meaning to it. So I'd love to have a site with all kinds of films like that. I don't care if spiritual or religious groups grab it and incorporate it into messages they're talking about. That's fine. You know, whether I agree or not, they can take it and use it for their message. So I'd like to leave the stuff kind of open in that way. Or groups that love freedom, like a lot of these groups we're seeing today, can grab it and apply it to their message, right? Or groups that are really interested in the discussion of treating each other well and tolerance and minority groups and that whole thing. Fine, grab it and apply that to your message too. I am a big believer in, man, I'm getting down a rabbit trail. Hey, I wanted to start talking about NFTs and now I'm on something totally different, but I'll get back to NFTs in just a second. But I'm a big believer in every group needs to have their voice. But this shutting down different voices, that's no good. That's no good. Let people have their say. Let people speak their message. If we can do it with some sort of respect for one another and respect that each other has differences on certain subjects, we need to respect each other on that. And then let people make up their own minds. But you don't get to control the narrative. This shutting people down, oh, that person's dangerous to have a voice. In my humble opinion, fuck that. Fuck that. Let people have their voice. I'll give you like a personal example. Like I grew up in the church and I don't really agree with the big Christian message. I think there's some good stuff in there, but I think the culture of church and Christianity has kind of become a cult, and it's not for me at this time. I like the community part of it. I like a lot of the good the church has done. But what I don't like is how, if you talk about an idea that goes outside of the box, all you get is awkwardness. You don't get any openness or consideration for any idea outside of, you know, what they claim they know to be true. And I get tired of that. So it's not for me. That being said, I don't want to stop Christian apologists from doing debates. I love guys like William Lane Craig. He's a Christian apologist. I also love guys like John Lennox. Those are two of my favorite Christian apologists, and very different approaches, very intelligent people. And I think they have some very strong, solid arguments for their position, but I'm not convinced, you know, and I'm allowed to not be convinced. That's the thing. That's the thing. So call me crazy, but I think everybody deserves a platform. I really do. I really do. And if you think somebody's message is extreme and awful and bigoted and all that, okay, let them talk. Maybe the rest of us will come to the same conclusion, but you don't get to control everybody else's conclusions. That's the part I'm just so tired of in this sort of, what do we call it, woke culture. And I know a lot of people are tired of it as well. And that doesn't mean I don't think people ought to treat each other well. Things like that. That doesn't mean I don't think that certain groups have been marginalized and all of that, or treated poorly. For sure. For sure. Part of my frustration is that a lot of those groups are so tight on the stuff that you're allowed to believe and not allowed to believe. Like, you go outside of their position on a single point and you're the enemy now. And that's a shame, because I think there are some points in there worth having a look at and talking about, but not just, you know, you aren't sure about one out of our 100 points and therefore you're racist. That's bull crap. We got to stop that. Anyways, long side trail. Let's get back to the NFT discussion. Okay. Strongest part of NFTs is, in a lot of cases, it cuts out all the middlemen. So it's basically like a contract that you can't mess with. So there's already discussions about how things like buying homes and all of the complicated paperwork that goes along, like between you and a mortgage person and the bank, all these people. Sorry if I said that all funny, but all basically the middleman involved in like even buying a home, that's going to go away. It's just going to be you and one person and a non-fungible contract basically on the blockchain is what it's going to be. And the reason art and things like that are so valuable on there is because when you buy it, you cannot mess with the authenticity of that person's ownership of that. That's what's so powerful about it. And because it cuts out the middleman, it really directly connects artists, especially, to their audience. I heard a story of a musician that put an album out there. Um, Excuse me if I get one or two of the details wrong, but my understanding is he put, I think, 1 million versions of his album digital out, and he sold it within 24 hours. I think he sold it for $1. So he earns $1 million doing that. And it has the prestige of being one of, if not the first album on the NFT marketplace that's sold in that way, right? Now, you can set it up so that when you resell it, if people trade it amongst themselves, if it grows in value, a commission from that, usually like around 10% is pretty standard, goes directly back to the artist. And that's not some company that oversees that. That's built into the code of the Ethereum technology and the NFT technology. It's built into the code. So you never have to touch it again as an artist. But if two people exchange it, if that album goes up in value and maybe one day it's worth $100 because it's got some prestige attached to it, somebody can sell it for $100 who bought it for $1 theoretically, and 10% of that goes to the artist. So every time it exchanges and moves hands, the artist directly makes a commission, as it should be. Now, some people may criticize and think that that sounds scammy. And I understand that, because this NFT technology, this blockchain technology, and this is also the reason why it seems very complicated. It's in my mind, it's not actually that complicated, although admittedly, I have a lot to learn on it. But what it is very different than traditional forms of money exchange, very different than traditional ecosystem of economics. So it's very alien to how it's been my whole life, certainly growing up. But it's not super complicated. It's just different. So if you think of companies like anything, these streaming services and things like that, and everybody's paying their monthly to them, some of these streaming services are making enormous amounts of money, you know, and some proper criticisms have been that all the artists, like thousands of them that give these services their ability to do that, they get paid very little out of that, right? So is that fair? Isn't that, right? It's not like that monthly to that streaming service gets split evenly amongst all the artists who contribute the content to create that. And that's fine. That's fair. That's the deal that they set up and the agreement they set up. But this NFT thing and the blockchain, that's what I'm talking about, is a different deal that cuts out the middleman. So it connects us directly. So myself, when I release my NFT, if people believe in my passion, my energy, my artistic ability, and not just that, but my potential to grow as well, then you can support me by buying my NFT, which will start low. But that money will start to create something that out of that I can build more things. And then you're a part of it too. This is why the community building part of it is so powerful. Because if I have a community of people that believe in what I'm doing and come around me through purchase of my NFTs and promotion of my material, then you help the things that I'm creating, the content that I'm creating, to grow, which actually will increase the value of those NFTs. So the power is that we all rise together. We all rise together. That's the thing. It's not like these other services traditionally where you give your money and that's it. You gave your money, and these services, they grow and they grow and they grow, but you just still give your commission every month. It's not quite like that. You're technically buying a share in that person or that art or the planned future projects. And the big one for me, my NFT is going to be this robot character. It's really cool. And it's kind of visually attached to an animated series that I have in mind to create. Whether I'll create that in a very simplistic form or assemble a team in the future sort of depends on the success of the NFT, right? But also what I want to do is, like I described, those short films. And I think they could just be so much fun to do, so artistically fulfilling. And honestly, I love Hollywood films. Hollywood has been making films for a long time. Artistically, there's just some incredible stuff that's going on. There's a lot of crap too. But I personally get a little tired of the same handful of actors acting everything. Every time I see that, no offense to those actors, they're great. Let's take Will Smith just as an example. You see him in so much stuff and he's great. No offense at all, but you know that it's Will Smith and you kind of know some of his story, and it becomes more difficult in some ways to suspend your disbelief. Every time I see a movie that I find really compelling and I have no clue who's playing it, especially if they do a good job, I only ever know that person as that character, right? It's just fun. It's just fun. The point being, I want to make projects, make short films, and give people as many chances as I can to just come in and work and make these films and make something cool and special. And then that can serve as demo reel material for them. I'd like to build a site that starts to assemble these short films over time. And they can point to that, go watch film number whatever on this site. And I want to keep the site completely free. I really do. I want to make cool content generated by this community that I build. And I want those films to be accessible by people all over the world, you know, no matter how many bucks they're able to rub together. And try collectively through this community to just make the world a little bit better place. And I will also connect a Discord to this community and maybe even make an opportunity to do video chats with multiple members of this community that I hope to build. So that's kind of the power of NFTs in my mind. Look up more videos. There's some videos that speak negatively of NFTs, and that's fine because maybe there are some criticisms worth paying attention to, and nothing in the world is 100% certain for sure. And there are scams out there, definitely. A friend of mine released an NFT. He did well on it. And at the same time, there's like 2 or 3 clones that looked very similar, you know, and they were trying to capitalize on all the work that he had done into marketing it before he released it. And so he had to be warning people, you know, go to this site. This is the NFT. Don't go to these because those are clones, you know, they're just trying to siphon out from the group. But yeah, there's a lot of good videos explaining how it works as well. I think if you're an artist, especially, you should look into NFTs and minting NFTs. Even if you sell a physical version of your art, you could also sell a digital counterpart for less expensive, you know, a one-off even. It is a subject worth researching. NFTs and the blockchain. I think the future is decentralization. I think traditional money is going to go away. And I think the world's going to become a more free place. I think the woke culture deserves a voice as well, but it doesn't deserve to cancel people. And more people are starting to understand the ugliness of this cancel culture. And in my mind, it's going away. The next episodes I want to talk about, I know I want to talk about the media criticism of Joe Rogan. Dangerous a topic as that might be right now, I don't care. I don't care. I've only got like 10 followers right now anyway, so what do I care? But watch, you know, I don't think 10 years from now there's going to be the cancel culture that there is today. I think the cancel culture is kind of eating itself, and rightly so. I mean, guys, listen, the cancel culture people, the people that are very sensitive to a lot of stuff going on, you're allowed to be, but I see that culture eating itself a little bit. And all I would say to those individuals is, for the love of God, have a sense of humor, guys. If you can't laugh at yourself, you're in trouble, in my mind. So with that, I'm going to end this episode. I hope this is good. Please give me comments about how I can improve this show. I'm really trying to find my voice. I did a number of episodes that were really fast snippets of just concepts and thoughts. And now I'm trying to go a little longer form. I want to get some guests as well and just grow this thing over time. So please help me do that. Help me develop into a channel and content creator who is creating something that's valuable, something that, even if it's just an inch, makes the world and humanity just a tiny little bit better. That's my goal. So help me in aiming for that goal. Have a lovely day, everyone. Let's all enjoy some of today laughing at ourselves, and we'll talk real soon.